Welcome to Ammosmith.com. And today's quick tip is identifying crimped primers and how to remove the crimp from the case. The first step in identifying crimped primers is there are some general characteristics to look for. The case in the center is a piece of Winchester commercial brass. It does not have a crimp. The one to the very right is a piece of Federal crimped brass. Although it looks commercial, it does have a crimped primer, and so does one on the left. They're both from the same company, but they're both different lots. Now the crimp on these primers can vary in the degree on how they're crimped, and these can cause problems in the resizing process and the priming process. Now before you are three different cases. The one on the left is a piece of Remington commercial 223 brass, and the one in the center is a piece of Federal military brass, and it has the crimp still in the primer pocket. The one on the right was a case that was resized, but the primer did not pop out. It is convexed and was difficult to remove from the shell holder. There's that same piece of Federal brass with the primer partially removed. The problem with crimp primers is it makes it difficult to decap and to reprime the brass. If you try to reprime a piece of crimped brass, you will probably end up destroying the primer trying to insert it into the primer pocket. During this period of instruction, I'm going to show you how to remove the crimp out of a primer pocket. The materials required are going to be the brass needing to be tooled to remove the primer pocket crimp. 2, a deburring tool. And 3, a primer pocket crimp cutting tool. This particular tool is made by Lyman, and it works quite well. However, these two methods are not perfect. There is not a perfect way to remove a primer pocket crimp. There's always going to be a lingering piece of metal in there that is going to impede the priming process. Alright, the first case we want to cut the crimp out of, we're going to use the Lyman tool. You'll feel it cut, then it'll stop cutting. There's a flat area which will prevent it from cutting any deeper than it has to. The second one, we're going to use a standard deburring tool. We're going to use this end. Take the point of the tool, place it over the primer pocket, and give it 1 or 2 good turns. Don't apply too much pressure. You just want to remove that little tiny flange that the machine that crimped it in the first place put there. If you take away too much material, what you'll end up having is a beveled area where the primer can actually flow into under firing, and that'll give you a false sign of high pressure. You want the primer pocket to be as square as possible. Okay, we're going to seat 3 primers into 3 cases. The first case will be a piece of Winchester commercial brass, brand new, unprimed. The second one will be the case that we deburred with the Lyman tool. And the second one will be a case we deburred with the deburring tool. Always wear your safety glasses when priming. That one is nice and smooth. Now for the one that was deburred by the alignment tool. It's a little stiff. That's not totally unexpected, and it didn't seat quite deep enough. Now for the one from the deburring tool. Double check that. Yep. Actually, that one went a lot smoother. The primer in this one didn't quite seat all the way. Just go back, put it in your priming tool, and give it another go. Amazingly enough, the one that I used, the deburring tool, was actually a little bit smoother. But the crimp was fairly well removed from both of them. It wasn't as smooth as the commercial brass, but it made it a lot easier.